Hi guys, how's it going?
Good.
That was a bit scary. Just sort of looking at everybody, and I'm like, guests are not here. What's going on?
Now what?
This is oppressive. I should have gone to go and wear my own This Is Us top.
I know, right?
I'll have stolen BB Zone, then everybody will now be blue,
Yes. Everything would have been blue.
Exactly. How now? How's it going? How's your day been?
Good.
Yeah.
With an active day compared to those. Yeah, I already had a headache.
Is this from running around in the sun or chasing Roland?
Oh no, we went to do physical.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So do you guys want to start?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, excellent. So guys, pardon any. So hi everybody. I would like to ask that you please indulge me if you hear any weird noises in the background. The living room has become a kind of saloon at the same time. Anna is getting her hair done. But yeah, we are live with This Is Us. This is Osione that's live right now. Oroma, his lovely wife, who just went off camera, is the co-founder. So they're both co-founders of This Is Us. And we're just going to be talking a little bit about their perspectives on design, making stuff in Nigeria, in Africa, and also this is the part I'm actually really excited about. It's this idea of designing like an African. I think it's something that we need to start talking about more, getting a whole bunch of people talking about this. So yeah, they are pressing me in their new collection, which I haven't been able to handle myself. I've just been seeing Osione wearing it, and every time I see him, it's like collect the clothes. So can you guys talk a little bit about yourselves, and why we're here? I can see you have fans in the chat. Already the video was fire. See, okay, so let's talk about that first. Let's talk about this fire video that you guys released to come and oppress all of us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing it too. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Do you want to go? Are we talking about ourselves or just
I was actually just saying you guys should talk about the video. Just go straight in. I mean, I've seen people saying the video was fire. So talk about that video. For those who haven't seen it, go and look for it on the This Is Us Instagram.
Super. So this question is something that we're always asking ourselves, right? What does it mean to design like a Nigerian? What does it mean to design like an African? And the African question is even more complicated because who exactly is an African, right? And so when we're thinking about what a how to do, it just came like naturally that we wanted to talk about how to design like either in Nigerian or not. So when we were thinking about it, first of all, we talked about how to design an African. We thought this is too complicated. We can't go into this. It's impossible to flesh it out. That OC was like, I want to give it a shot. And so I was like, okay, let's try. And after a while, we stopped and we're like, no, let's just do how to design because trying to how to design in Africa. But then the guys that they got fashion design, we pushed us to do how to design like an African, and so we got our hands to it. And I mean, this was OC genius, to be honest. So I'm going to let you do that.
I can see his head swelling in the corner. It's like, yeah.
I did it like a ball. So I did it like a ball. Well, I mean, the real driver behind it was Lagos Fashion. They just loved the title and so pushed us to do how to design like an African. I'm a graphic designer, so I kind of was coming at it from I want to be a big boss and just put my stamp and be like, here's how to design, period.
Exactly.
But then they pushed us. And so we started thinking about this. I think we just looked around our house, really, to answer questions. Like, okay, well, how did we design our home? How did this diverse in our home come about?
And we realized that it came from this constant search for truth, right? Like we're always looking for something that like we see and it's like, oh, I love that, right? And then the next step is always just like asking ourselves over and over again, why do I love it? What do I love about it? How does that thing that I love about it come to be? So, take Nipeni tool, for instance, the LM tool. I'll show it to you here.
Did you guys get it in blue? Ah, it's not brown.
We've done it in red, yeah. All out.
Okay,
when we got it. But it was that. It was like, first time we saw it, we really liked it. And then we liked the beauty of it, and then we started asking questions. So I think that's how we came at what are the steps, right, that go into designing. It's always sort of like you have an intent. I want a chair to sit on, right? Something as basic as that. Or I need to get from point A to B. So something very simple and basic like that. Or like we discussed, for instance, the question of like, can Nigerian design be something that is like really amazing and people really value and love more than all the things that we start with that intent. And then the first thing after you have the intent is just like, in our case, has always been looking around and seeing that, oh, that's the thing that struck me the most, right? I really like that thing. And then going from there on this kind of long journey, which is why we say, to design like an African, design for a very, very long time, right? Spend and that's how we then got to the long time of school.
Yeah, the thing also comes from the fact that in Africa, things are not very, like, or in Nigeria and also in Africa, things are not, information is not that kind of set out, not clear, it's not easy for you to just see things. So, where in Europe, when it's manufactured something, you just like type something to a computer and you just like send it to them and blah, blah, blah. Here you have to basically like get yourself and go on the road and find what you're looking for,
there's way more friction here.
That you have to, so you really don't handle things as quick.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why you're standing for a long time in Africa. You have more certainty to you, and also things are not going to be discovered as much as they have in Europe or wherever else.
Because you're constantly figuring things out here, right? You have to be very hands-on. And I guess in a way, which is why I really like the video, because the video is very much what This Is Us is about, which is really cool. Because, so I'm going to ask you guys to do a little bit of fashion for us that are here on this Instagram live channel. So can we have Oroma to model what she's wearing? Just talk us through this. Yes, we have you on here. Don't worry, OC is also going to do his own as well. So everybody else.
She wants to sign her but that's
okay. See this just looks like a lookbook. Is this where people will shop this thing? See casting. I've just outed your studio. So all this is front tour cotton right now, right? Nice. And deep pockets. That's what I'm talking about. See, Oroma, you were fronting before. Now you've entered the whole vibe.
Let's show them too.
See, all this is made in Lagos, though. Not even just made in Africa, like Lagos, bro.
All made here.
You see?
And then OC has to do it, of course.
OC, so you have to do now.
Alright, now.
I beg, no shame also. Not that you're wearing boxer shorts underneath the top. This Zoom life. You gotta find sweatpants.
So he's wearing a black suit, but he's also wearing. Is this like an off-suit, like something that didn't say suit?
Yeah, that's not the English.
Yeah, that's
I always
like
get
all.
Yeah, I always get to the whatever.
So we have lots of prototypes that we wear all the time. Because,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of the advantages of being a designer, though. get all your own stuff. Nice. So I mean, so like, talk to me about this whole idea about like, you know, why is making local important? Because I'm sure it could have been a lot easier doing this outside. Like, let's not even play.
So, so for us, it's a thing of like Osi said earlier. We when we started this stuff, the main thing was for us was to design 100% Nigerian, and we put ourselves in this fictional world where we said, imagine that we couldn't get anything from outside. Imagine that you didn't have access to anything from outside, and you had to design with what you had here alone. What would you design? And that's mostly the base on which we started to discuss because, I mean, this obviously started from the fact that we really, really believe that there's a lot in Nigeria that needs to be explored. And it's so unexplored that there's actually no point looking anywhere else. If you have this much resources that really have not been tapped, then everyone better get to it. And so that's why we gave ourselves that task of searching and discovering what Nigeria has to offer. And yeah,
I think the other thing is to when you're coming into life and I guess creating or making, you don't want to do what we've done already, right? Like there's no point in getting another like 10 imported things. There's already like a proliferation of imported things. So yeah, I mean what I guess it's from a pure there's part of this that is like comes from an ego perspective where like, well, why can't Nigeria make also amazing? So it just started from there. It's like, why is it that every time you want to go and get a chair made or you want to get a table made, the thing has to have K-legs? Why? Like, that's literally the question. It's like, why does it have K-legs? And that's when we started putting threads from there. It's like, okay, well, can we find something here that is completely from here that is of a high quality that everyone here will appreciate, will be of, however you define value, will be of value to people, but then also everywhere, also it will be of value to people in others.
For Nigeria, so making for the world, it's important that we can use it, the guy at the gym can use it, and everyone else can use it around the idea. So we put ourselves in that position, but obviously this is not how we expect or think that the world functions, right? Like you need to interact with the entire world. So if you like that soap from Italy, by all means get that soap from Italy, but on some level it should still be made in Nigeria. So you can do your adware on the soap from Italy and you can do whatever else, or your designing or your manufacturing here. But we think that designing as an African or as a Nigerian, especially in these times, like every designer that sits down at their table and decides to create something has an obligation, if you will, to kind of voice what the essence of this place is. Africa is hugely untapped. There hasn't been enough of African design to there's no point of creating stuff that is being created everywhere in the world. So that's our point of view, and it's completely open to interpretation.
So I mean, the other thing that I will add to this, and this kind of came from the conversation that we had earlier today, is that designing locally or making things locally is somewhat more human, right? You could argue that when you do it locally, it furthers the cause of the human species. Like we're more likely to survive whatever comes out in the future. Because if something happens and we no longer have access to outside, right, then we know how to create. It's not just that like so it's important on some level to know how to use what's around you to live, because
exactly in case something happens, like now, right?
Exactly. If you don't engage with what's around you, then when something happens, you can't survive in your environment. And I think it's very important for even just basic
Yeah, yeah.
And now
This
you
is
can see it with coronavirus and
exactly. This is happening in real time. It's not
exactly in real
speculative anymore.
time. Yeah.
Because I think because one of the things for me, and even when we were talking earlier, which is why I was asking about this idea of trying to propagate or trying to push this way of doing things. It's very easy to just feel like, okay, I'm doing this thing in my own corner, and that's what's happening here. Um, but then it's not enough, right? If you were the only people doing this, and this idea of what even just being able to do stuff, it means you will be the only people that are doing stuff, right? A lot of Nigerian brands are also doing this, even just tailors or whatever. They're just doing this out of necessity, like they have to do it. But they're importing their fabrics, they're importing their buttons, they're importing their zippers. We don't make any of these things, right? So it's very interesting bringing a design angle, a design perspective into all of this. That's different. That's not just like, oh, well, this is out of necessity, so I'm just going to operate like this. It's now like, okay, what if we were to take these constraints and these challenges and make them a deliberate part of our process? So, it's like you guys are talking about, not using buttons, not using zippers, and there are solutions for that because after all, people have been making clothes for thousands of years without buttons or zippers. So it's something that is very straightforward for you to be able to do this, right? Um, so I find that really cool. It's so I mean, out of
Okay, you have an
curiosity,
important question.
aha.
He said,
Let's see. Do we have to make all the materials? Okay.
no, I don't think so. So, but like, I don't think that, we're not saying, or my opinion is not that everything has to come from scratch from here. There's
Uh-huh.
different aspects, like people take different parts of the value chain and do it here. So, some people will like source the fabric from here, create the entire textile from here, do all the samples and prototyping here, and then manufacture abroad.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's still very, very, like, that's African design, you see it and you do not even think in any way, shape, or form that it's European or it's American or anything. Some people use fabric from abroad and they make it here, and just the way it's designed and the details of the elements on it tell you that it's made in Nigeria, it's made in Africa. So I don't think the materials have to be from here, but I think that we have lots of materials here that can be explored, and so I think it needs to be a conscious thing of people's minds to literally explore your environment before you decide to
It's just to step outside.
leave other people go.
Exactly. I agree with you. I think it's. I mean, just like in the conversation we're having earlier, it's not that everybody is supposed to do this. It's not by force, so you must do this, otherwise you're not a Nigerian designer. It's just that there is, this, and it's kind of difficult to explain because it's in the doing of it. It's in the sourcing of the fabric. It's in the creating of the textile. It's in the talking with the suppliers and traveling and meeting all the people locally that you gain an insight into what your design looks like, right?
Exactly.
It's difficult if you're bringing things from outside in, because then you end up taking the shortcuts without even realizing it. You're just like, oh, okay, what did Oscar de la Renta do? What did Yoji do? Whatever, Chanel. You're kind of like, oh, okay, this looks really interesting, and I can do that if I just assemble the pieces here. It's a kind of different thing. It's interesting. Because there's definitely a lot of back and forth. There's some things you won't be able to do if you're working here.
There's lots of practice comes out of not having, There's that saying about how, like, what's the saying again? Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing. How did I forget? Necessity is the mother of invention. Like, when you don't have, there's lots of creativity that comes out of that. Like, you then think about how to make it work. For instance, in our case, we set off thinking, oh, there's no Nigerian costume because we searched enough and there just wasn't anything that was. It seemed like there wasn't anything, and then we spoke to me, and me actually talked to all with material from here. So he was like, oh, check these guys out, Oshogo, Singwa. And then we went there, we realized, we don't like the way it looks, blah, blah, blah. And we just continued, like, trying to figure out how to make it work until we stumbled on Indigo dying. And it was so crazy when we stumbled on the kitchen kind of because it was crazy a bit before. We didn't think it was real because it was like, how can there be such a gem sitting there and no one is using it, no one is.
Yeah.
And so it just became automatic for us to elevate the material, the fabric, with using that. And if all of that didn't happen and if we didn't feel like we restricted the level of fabric that we got, we wouldn't have even gone in the first place for Indigo.
Yeah, right. You just have ordered whatever you wanted. I was speaking. Sorry, I'm actually thinking maybe we could add new in here if that's possible.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if I can figure this out. You guys will pardon me, all this Instagram live. I don't understand that.
He has to request.
Okay, he has to request. Okay, Nee, can you request to come on? If he's still here, that is. Okay, but I mean, while we're waiting for that, I guess we can continue chatting.
Yeah.
Nee, can you request to join the conversation, to go live? If you can hear me. You see, I would like him to at least say, to talk about this. Oh, already did? I can't see anything. Oh. Nee, where are you? Can you try again? I can't actually see your request. That's why it's weird. Oh. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that we project on parts of our industry where we find out that we have some of these resources. Okay, I don't get it, so he's going to have to explain it with us. Explain it when he comes on. Okay, let's go on.
Yeah. Okay. May not be able to do 3 videos.
Okay.
Okay, well. So maybe not. Oh, that's a shame.
Maybe not.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. What did I just do? Anyway, sorry, please continue. Yeah, I clicked it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, Yegwa, we can go on.
Yeah. So, okay, just sorry, we were actually talking about your journey. So you have gone on all of this, and then you started the first collection itself was just a whole bunch. You did like different types of T-shirts, right? But even the style of the T-shirt was interesting. So I'm just curious about whether that was informed by the material and what you had available to you. And even now that you guys are doing a uniform collection, is that something that's inspired by the process, the materials that you had access to, that kind of thing? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we started off like, the thing is, we didn't actually set off wanting to be a fashion brand per se. Until now, I wouldn't really classify this stuff as a fashion brand because some people can say it's fashion, but it's not fashion, you know? It's kind of just apparel. It's clean, so you can really do what you want with it. It's minimal enough for you to make it fashion, wear the right size, style it properly. But I won't say it's fashion. So we didn't really set up this collection. We just set up saying that this is our Nigerian makeup. And through that, we made some T-shirts. There were 2 different styles, and it comes in big and small. And that's what we have. Okay, now we took out one of the T-shirt styles because we realized we only need one. So there was a boxy and there was a flared. So we're very big on kind of like limiting the options just so that it doesn't lead to excess and waste. So we basically now only have the T-shirts, and the idea is we still have the same message with this different kind of brand, but we change the design done like various renditions, but I think it's only ever released two.
Okay.
And
I mean, out of
So yeah.
because I've seen you guys use like offcuts to do stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So we do the offcuts. We use the offcuts to make like the patchwork too, and then we also like when we have like, so sometimes the fabric is not as smooth or whatever. Like it has what we call like an injury, okay, because it's bumpy or something. So when we have something like that, we patch it instead of just slapping.
Oh, whose audio is low?
Yeah, and so sometimes like the screen printing doesn't come out as well because it shifts or whatever. So when that happens, we patch it instead of just throwing it away.
Audio is low.
Oh,
can you hear us, Yegwa?
Audio is low and not.
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine, but I'm not sure whether it's because I'm wearing headphones. Can you guys hear them okay?
Yeah, we can hear you quite clearly.
Okay, so
okay, maybe it's because you guys are far away from the mic. Are sitting away from the mic, maybe.
And I guess it come closer.
Yeah.
Or maybe
that might be better now.
Okay. Hi, Mary Agnes, 2020. Okay, cool. I was actually about to ask. Okay, yes. So this because you've been using your waste in the production, and I'm interested in this idea. People keep talking about sustainability, ethical fashion, all these things. Would you say that was part of your interpretation of producing local? You know, this being able to sort of think a lot more about like the whole cycle, really, what happens to your waste, how you produce, you know, your relationship with even the producers, the craftspeople, the dyers, the weavers, and so on, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it didn't set out to be sustainable in the way that you think of sustainable. I think we just discovered it as the way of being or the way of creating that exists here.
Okay.
So many times that we would go from, like for instance, in the dietary sugar, that's not like in Kano, that's something that is like a huge deal for them where nothing goes to waste. It's like they use the first of all, it's baffling to me that they would use green cake for what, like 6 months, over 6 months. So I'm like, you use this same solution to keep dying, it's been dying for a very long time for you. And then after they finish doing that, they don't discard it, right? They use it, they use it for something else. They use it for food purposes. They use like the leftover spreadsheet to make new art, make a new thing. You know what I mean? They're like the stickers. Some people like the sound of this. The sticker like lines the power down. You know, there's just like this. There's nothing that is great.
Yeah.
The sustainability is something that we discovered along the way. By just doing things with what is around us and like that, by just going on that journey, we kind of then realize that, oh wow, things are done in a way that is like zero waste, no waste, very sort of like nothing is bad if you will. You can always still get something that is useful out of whatever it is that is built.
Yeah, sure. And that's really fascinating, right? Because it's not waste; it's material. Sorry, Oroma, you were going to say?
Yeah, exactly. No, I was just going to add that yes, the sustainable aspect of designing here and doing everything 100% here was part of the reason that we kind of decided to do that because it just seems more like I don't know how to
remember, so here, I'll remind that. So Oroma had been designing white shirts and we were actually going to do a trip to Turkey, look at production company over there. And then we got married, we had a baby, so it just wasn't expenditure to that. So then it's kind of like, okay, well, we find a more, what's the word, like cost-effective really way to achieve the same thing here in Nigeria. Like, why do we do this? Right? We will end up like being this like whole expenditure. Where you can do similar travel and exploration within Nigeria that is more like real sustainable to our way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we decided to go that route. We also knew that, like, are we going to have to keep going? Starting each time we need to do that. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It just makes sense to have that whatever you want to do around. So,
Okay, that's cool. We have some questions in here before I ask what there's another thing I was going to say, but let's see. Okay, Omoyemi asked, you recently launched an e-commerce platform in the middle of a pandemic. Was this something that you planned in any way? Are you guys part of the 5G conspiracy? Let's even start there.
So we have been working on that for a long time. We've been working on that for months, and the plan was to launch it at the end for over a year. The plan was to launch it at the end of March, and at the end of March we found ourselves in the middle of a pandemic, and it was either we hold off or we just go ahead with everything else that we planned to, like, launch brands, to cover whatever. And so we decided to go for it. And I think it's important to do that. I think anything that doesn't cost you more money in this time, just keep going with it. Just keep pushing.
Yeah.
We don't know where anything is going. So don't stop any plans. Keep going with your plans. Ignore Corona. I best card, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
the thing about life is you kind of have to be. So for us, it was in, we've done it as much. Also,
you have to roll with the punches, right?
On what inspired your outfit to previous customers to bring back their tickets for you guys. Was that at no cost to customers? Yeah, so that's something we've always wanted to do, because from the second that we realized that we were going to be sourcing fabric and design it, we knew that we could always offer to dye, because the thing is that before we even launched like one outfit, because we really launched, we already understood how it plays and what the actual fabric looks like after the clean. And we understood that, this fabric is super nice, but it gets even softer after you wash it for a very long time, which means that all you need to do is for it to get to again, you can back to dye. And so we always set off to do that from the beginning. And it wasn't at any cost, because it literally doesn't cost that much to
dye. Sure.
We think that is value that we had before. But also, we're not like charity. We just feel that it's, and a lot of people don't want their things to die. Like, people like OT, for instance, it was like, you went to like 25 or 30 things. I was like, I don't need anything to die. I don't need this one shirt.
Is it only stuff that's sure? Sorry, I was just going to ask: is it only stuff that was bought from This Is Us, or can people just bring anything?
No, I mean, I guess you can bring anything, because we have a super project that we're working on, and it's like, can bring anything from those parts to that.
Okay.
So I mean,
how you guys
like,
going?
On our label, one thing that we say on the label is wear with love and get rid of love. And that, I mean, sometimes like you make a statement and then you inspire people to do something.
Exactly.
So when we first make a statement, it's like,
what does that look like?
Yeah.
Love, love. And so those things started pulling at them and they started being like, oh yeah, when it would look and look like this. Like I remember one time I was giving someone really liked like one of the Asian shirts and I was giving it out, I was giving it to them and it just struck me to like wrap it in the same packaging. I just put it
Yeah, the old, yeah.
boxes and everything. And like they found it really valuable that oh wow, like so it's that type of thinking where we encourage you to keep the packaging so that if you want to give it out to someone, give it to someone in that packaging. Or if you're tired of wearing it, bring it back. You can retire it if you don't want to send it back.
Someone. That's why you get rid of it.
Yeah. So this, I mean, do you find your customers are really responding to this? Like this?
We had just a few. We had a lot of people saying, "Oh, really cool," but people not really making the extra effort to bring it, and so we actually thought, "Oh, we just spray run and pick up stuff." But yeah,
okay, yeah,
like if you're not really keen on doing it, we're not going to force it to do it.
sure.
We did get people dying, but not as much as before. Like maybe like 10% or 5%.
Okay.
I think the other thing is sometimes you have to kind of like promote things like doing drive. That's kind of like
Yeah.
like have let people know way in advance so they can prepare for it. You remind them.
Yeah, because I was going to say that it's not something that people are necessarily used to doing. Most brands are very just kind of like once you sold it, it's up to you're on your own basically. Unless there's a defect or whatever, it's like okay, it's done. So that's interesting. And you're right. You really, I think it is important to be able to remind people that this is a thing that's possible. There's another question here. How are you guys doing to continue to be? Yeah.
So go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that there's another question here. How are you guys continuing to remain creative and implement your ideas during this pandemic? And then there's one other one. Maybe you can answer these two. Is tie dye actually sustainable? I guess maybe they're also just talking about indigo dyeing in general. I'm not sure. Testme.ng, but yes, if you could answer those two, maybe for now. How are you staying creative?
Staying creative. I mean,
and implementing your ideas.
I think that like necessity is the mother of all invention, right? Like with limitation, you can actually push yourself into the world and you can surprise yourself. Every day we wake up and we kind of look and see what we're already doing because we already had stuff going on. We're already kind of belong to brands, we're already trying to belong to performance. So there's lots to do in that regard, but also we're trying to develop more products. We were working on so many collaborations before, so we continue to. You can't go out, but you can still think, you can still like design. Of course, you can't introduce tailors, you can't really.
So that's what I was about to ask. So production is basically halted for now. So you just have like your stock that you're selling, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But then there's also just the aspect of like continue to communicate. Yeah. And one big thing that we've done as a brand is collaborate with other people. As well as like collaborate with manufacturers. So that keeping those lines of communication open is constantly like pouring up new ideas. There's always, I feel like if you have conversations with people on a daily basis, there's always something that is surfacing, like quickly, right? There's always some that downtime, right? There's now, if you're having conversations with people, there's now the place that you can plug that down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially with design and things, you can really spend time thinking about things.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for being able to just accept. I think this moment, there are a lot of designers I've spoken to. A lot of people seem to be very much they're focusing a lot on the disruption itself. It's like, oh, I can't produce, like I can't, all the things they would have been doing, they're kind of still locked into that mode. And it's not to say it's not understandable; it's perfectly understandable. Obviously, we're in the middle of a really horrible crisis, so there's that kind of stages of grief kind of thing, where we're in denial first, and and all this. But now you get to a point where you're even trying to bargain with the whole thing. It's like, okay, if only I can just manage to do this. But I think um, if you can come to that state of acceptance where we're kind of like, okay, so this is what's happening now. What can I do now? I can't produce now, but I can design now. I can think more. I can plan and stuff. And there's also that tension between that and just being able to put food in your mouth. But I think it's always about just being able to say, okay, where am I now, and how do I make that? How do I make this? How do I survive in this? Instead of constantly imagining the ideal scenario or the time before, it's like, okay, where are we now? There's a question in the Q&A set. Wow, okay. I've had a few. I just lost this. Do you sell the Funtua fabric and do you only use indigo? I think that's a quick answer, no?
Yes, because, like I said, and so something that we knew from the beginning is that we didn't want to get involved with fashion because I used to be a fashion designer. I used to design actively when I had salary. And something that I didn't like was just the fact that I felt like I always needed to be catching up. Like, I'm not inspired. So I don't want to have to just do it when I was only create. And so we sell the fabric because we want to do design fabric.
Can you guys come closer to the mic a bit? Sorry. I think the sound is still really bad for a lot of people.
We haven't scratched the surface of what possible or what possible. So, tell the fabric we want to know another reason that we do this is that they understand that because we care and it's like if find fabric makes it difficult for you, the fabric is
Okay. Sorry about that. I think you just had some technical difficulties. Can you see me? Are you guys back? Okay, I think we're good. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I think we're back. Had internet troubles. Okay, so let me see. Let's just go through all these ones on the back end that are not, just so that we don't forget that they're here. Where can we buy your products? Actually, you can check it out on their Instagram. I'll type it into the box just so you can check out their Instagram, and then the website is there on your profile, right? Okay. Then there's a quick question. How do you guys ensure consistent quality? And how did you build your supplier relationship? Was it organic? With a lot of sweat. With a lot of sweat.
Consistent quality is like production in Nigeria is not easy for a fact, very difficult. But I think it's like setting the standard and continuing to improve on the standard is a lot easier because there's ways that you can work with tailors where they need to make it accept it, but like this is not accept it. We haven't done anything. They like literally cannot accept that. So I think that's something that I've done with this like people sit down and like really bring the standard. That means that has very important because we have lots of options like this and we just can't figure out what to do.
Sure.
What was the second question?
did you build your relationship with your suppliers? Yeah.
The relationships are well with like we just basically when there is that to survive, you go check out yourself. You're not you don't feel comfortable to do what we'll try to fill out the job
Cool. Can you maintain living wages for your dyers, not just fair wages? I'm not sure. Well, aren't they the same thing, kind of? Like fair wage is a living wage, no? I don't know. But anyway, but yes, how do you can you do this? Or how are you paying?
what we see. I believe so. So I asked a lot of questions about how the ways that we are doing, because we don't always do this. I've asked them how the ways that goes down. I kind of feel that I'm there and see how it's really like a community.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's fair. We pay a lot for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear Osi. Sure. Okay, so okay, we're getting near the end of this. I wanted to do a quick touch on the this line of designing like an African. I quite like it. It's very resonant. It's very strong. It's something that really, you even have a poster of it. So I'm just thinking if you guys could talk a little bit about that. Like, what does that look like to you? I mean, it's clear that there's a will I say there's a gap for that? Maybe there's still a gap. I mean, there are lots of things, whether that's design in Daba and so on. But it's clearly like we're still kind of figuring out our design language, and not just language in terms of aesthetic language, but even language in terms of how we, well, to continue with the analogy in a torturous way, how we construct our sentences, almost like what are the words that go into this language. And by that I mean like what are the processes, what's the mindset that goes into producing, right? Because you look at Swedish design and you can say, okay, it looks like this, but this is also the mindset that goes into making Swedish design. Or like Japanese design, it looks like that, but this is the mindset that goes into making it. So I guess there's a mindset that sort of, I mean, you guys talking about mindset, the aesthetic, what does like an African, what does that mean? Oh, hello, you lost me? Okay, no, I was just saying that. So what does it mean? If you can explain that a little bit, yes.
So are you asking what it looks like?
Oh, no. So not just what it looks like. I'm curious about like, well, two things. So one, what does it look like? But that's later. The first question is there a mindset that you have in mind? Like, is there an approach that you would say is designing like an African? So which is why I was saying that, like, you look at a lot of this. So if you can talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I'm gonna start with something. But I think that like the mindset is the key word that you have to take it. You have to learn to take it. Because these guys really need to be a program. Yeah, they make money from it. You get more out than you spend enough time going back there, listening, researching, understanding, watching them work, taking their things, relax. It's not formal. It's systems involved. There's like questions, debate questions, and then I think that there's a lot of like really kind of like behavior that is required. you basically have to come down to the level of working with kind of doing it, like, oh, this is really blah, blah, blah. Like, you basically have to come down and kind of treat everyone the same and work with people. So there's that community building that I think is like, yeah.
Okay. Well, OC, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think of it from a almost sort of like how do you exist with the people that are around you, the environment that's around you, with what kind of mindset you have. The, the mindset that drives designing like an African is like the African mindset. How do you have a conversation with the land and the people that have that land? And I think the way you get into it is by taking time to consider the what has existed on the land or what is growing, what is thriving on the land. I think it's the as much as I understand the way of going about designing or the way of going about designing like an architect. That's as much as I understand. This is land that we have what grows on the land and what has grown on the land for a long time. And for me, that's sort of
Cool, because I guess in a way, what I would take away from that is that kind of like designing like an African is that you are also designing with a sense for the community, the connection, the environment that you're part of. It's like a yes. So Omoyemi has this exactly. It's not a me economy. It's an us or a we economy, and it's true actually. It's exactly like your brand name. This is us, right? It's not this is we in terms of just the two of you. It's about like this whole thing, right? This bigger community. You can see that in your collaborations and all that, and I think it's very important even to have this perspective because you have a in a way for I mean, not to go too deep into this, I would argue something like design itself can be a very colonizing activity because you can come in with your mindset and be like, this is you impose your point of view on something. It's like, this is how this should look. This is how this should be built. This is how this should be organized. This is how this should be, dyed or whatever. But then once you have a design that actually starts asking questions about like, okay, where is this place? Where are we from? What is here? It tempers that mindset because it's not just about your point of view. It's not like, okay, what's here? And then this collaborative process creates something, which I think is pretty cool. So are you guys working? Are you guys doing deliveries right now? We can still order on the website and so on. Okay. It's not easy. Exactly. Yeah. Give yourself a deadline. Okay, that's really cool. What do you call it? So, I mean, things like the video is available. I really like the video, sorry. The video is available on Lagos Fashion Week's Instagram. Those are available on This Is Us' Instagram. I like it because, just like what Omoyemi was saying about communicating, I think it does a very good job of communicating. I think this is one of the things that it's a big question now in this COVID-19 sort of environment where you can't go out, you can't do the normal meetings and all these things, So now there's a whole bunch of questions that have to be answered around how do we get this information across? I mean, I have a young daughter. It's like, okay, we're going to be doing virtual classrooms and all these things. But how do these kids learn in this environment? And there's a lot of talk about. I mean, I keep thinking that there's something in that space for like creating content that tells stories, and everybody now has to become more of a storyteller, right? Um, it's really important, I think, for us to be able to start embodying that a lot more. And storytelling is a very African thing, right? I mean, all cultures around the world tell stories, but I think maybe among a lot of the larger continents, we're very close to that. I mean, whether that's movies, books, whatever, we're still telling stories. But in terms of being able to combine all these things now in this time to condense these different points of view, I mean, you can even see how well the video resonated with a lot of people, right? That's like, yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. That I think is a really strong statement, and it remains out there for people to continually get that vibe. It's really important to just be able to do that. As Nee said, to make myths, you have to be able to just sort of put that stuff together. So yeah, it's really cool. This is us. It's also a very myth-sounding brand, because it's like you have to be able to leave that legacy. You have to leave that legacy out there for people to be able to know. And yeah, this is it. Like this is us. On, maybe in the future it can be this is who we were, right? And I think that's a really cool kind of yeah. No, it's really cool. This is it, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Okay, thanks, guys. We're at 1 hour exactly. I think this was cool. If there is, I think I saw a question about whether you only dye in indigo. Do you only do indigo?
We mentioned the other thing. We did a collaboration with Gray that had some color.
With who? Okay.
Gray color. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, we have experimented, but we have not really.
Blue is true.
Everything always is different. So many experiments in other colors. We just
Excellent. All right, thanks, guys. I'll leave you guys to get on with your evening. I know it's not easy doing the. Thanks, everyone, for participating and for the questions. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you, Lagos Fashion Week, for letting me host. I hope I didn't break anything. So, bye, guys. Take care. Bye.